So today we're going to be reading from an article from the American Diabetes Association about trying to lose weight. Here we'll discuss a basic few tips on what and when to eat before and after exercise, and what to consider if you take diabetes medication like insulin. If you're trying to lose weight, it's important to make sure you aren't consuming additional calories your body doesn't need. That means trying to time your meals or snacks around your workouts so you aren't eating extra snacks for the sake of the workout. One of the biggest things that you'll see everywhere is this concept of losing weight. Hesitant to call it a scam, but I really do think it's a scam for most instances, because anyone can lose weight. And as long as someone has you focusing on those numbers on the scale, that weight loss could be coming from anywhere. I mean, let's face it, if you wanted to lose 20 to 30 pounds quickly, you could just go to India and drink the water. But that's not the type of weight people are talking about. People want to lose fat. So I don't understand why people don't just say lose fat, unless you're being scammed. A lot of fitness models, a lot of business models, supplements, American Diabetes Association, many doctors want you to focus on weight because they know how easy it is to lose muscle and to lose water and various other components of your body that can help you lose weight. So as long as you're focused on those numbers, you feel like you're making progress. But we don't want to lose weight. That's too vague. That can be anything. We want to lose fat, and we want to change our body composition. We want to lose fat, ideally lose fat, and retain or gain muscle. Muscle mass is one of the leading indicators of longevity. You need muscle. So a lot of times you see people lose fat, they lose weight, they're losing muscle, which is a lot heavier than fat. And so if you're losing muscle, and it's easy to lose if you're not getting any protein or weight training. And so the combination of that, you could just be losing muscle, and that comes down on the scale and you're like, oh my gosh, I lost 10 pounds, in 2 weeks, but 10 pounds of what? So just wanted to bring that up because this weight loss thing in many cases is a scam, and it's not sustainable. A lot of these diets have you eating through every 3 hours. A lot of people following bodybuilder diets when they're not bodybuilders. They tell you to eat less and move more, which is a non-sustainable model. You will always be hungry, and you will eventually relapse, gain the weight back. And as we know, we can't outrun a bad diet, so exercise alone doesn't do the trick. And we know this from The Biggest Loser because not one loser kept the weight off after the show. They all gained the weight back and then some. That means trying to time your meals or snacks around your workouts so you aren't eating extra snacks for the sake of the workout. So because this is the ADA, they're bringing up snacks because as long as you're taking insulin therapy, you have to keep eating, or you could go into a hypoglycemic state. Your blood sugar can get too low. So they have you snacking, which increases the insulin resistance, which is a big part of type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is a disease of too much sugar in the blood, which is a result of the cells ignoring the insulin to allow the sugar into the cells because they're just too inundated with sugar. And so you have to snack because you keep crashing. You go through this blood sugar roller coaster every day, destroying your arteries and working your way towards heart disease. Because type 2 diabetes is one of the precursors, or one of the top precursors to eventually getting heart disease. So here's some things to consider. Exercising on an empty stomach can help you burn more body fat for fuel. When you eat right before you exercise, your body is going to first use the calories you just consumed for fuel, the sugar. By exercising when it's been about 3 to 4 hours since you last ate, your body is more able to burn fat for fuel because other easier methods of fuel aren't available. Remember, before exercising, check your glucose levels to make sure you're within a safe range to do so, about 100 to 180 milligrams per deciliter. If we look at this, exercising on an empty stomach can help you burn more body fat for fuel. And it's implying here that if you're not, and when they say on an empty stomach, they mean you're not eating carbohydrates. If not eating carbohydrates helps you burn fat, I mean, that should be a big clue that if you want to burn fat, you stop eating sugar. And it says your body's going to first use the calories you just consumed. Yeah, because carbohydrates are purely for fuel. They're non-essential. Your body just wants to burn it up and get it out of there because it's toxic to the system. And so by exercising when it's been about 3 to 4 hours, which is nothing, and like I said before, they usually have you eating every 3 to 4 hours because you're always hungry. It says your body's able to burn fat for fuel because other easier methods of fuel aren't available. Easier methods being sugar. It's cheap fuel. It's junk. Your body prefers ketones, which is derived from fat, dietary fat, and body fat. It says, remember, before exercising, check your glucose levels. And they want you to do that because when you work out, your muscles and various things in your body are going to be taking in that glucose. And you don't want your glucose to go too low because you're on this insulin medication. That's why they want to make sure that you're between 108 and 180 when you work out. And your body could produce some glucose as well when working out from the stress response, trying to power you for the workout. But if it's already at 180, not sure if it's going to have you go up. The body's very good with homeostasis, with keeping things in balance. This can be a very helpful weight loss tool because regardless of how many calories you burn during your workout, you're ensuring that you're burning more body fat for fuel. Calories aren't applicable to the human body. This is a specific measurement for an enclosed system, specifically a bomb calorimeter. It's a very complex measurement in that isolation. We are an open system, and food is broken down via our endocrine system, our inflammasome, our immune system, and hormones. And so you cannot measure these calories from this laboratory environment. You can't apply that to the human body. This is another part of the scam, is counting calories. Because in order for this calorie model to appear to be real, is if you severely undereat, which you do not want to be doing. So maybe I'll do a whole video on that at some point, but no, calories do not matter. It's just a made up system for people to promote eating ultra processed foods, to try to keep ultra processed foods from getting out of control. But it doesn't help even then because you still end up overeating. Because like I said, this calorie scam only applies to ultra processed food. When you eat real food, especially if you're on a carnivore diet, eat as much as you want. And you can never overeat because it's so satiating that you would just feel sick trying to eat more than you needed. But with ultra processed foods, you can eat and eat and eat until your stomach is physically stuffed. That's why we feel the way we do when we overeat carbohydrates. The signaling to your brain isn't working properly. Your body doesn't know it's getting food. Your brain doesn't know to stop eating because it's not real food. So you're essentially, when you feel stuffed and people like holding their stomach, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so full. That's because your brain wasn't able to signal that, hey, we're good, stop eating. So you physically get full. On a carnivore diet, you can eat and eat and eat, and you pretty much know you're done because the food just stops tasting good. You're just like, oh, can't eat anymore. Can't eat any more of this. But you never feel full. Your stomach is still flat. In terms of your abs. And physically, you don't even feel like you really ate anything. But you're satiated. You feel great. If you want to eat before exercising, choose a small snack or light meal. If exercising on an empty stomach isn't a great fit for you, you can avoid consuming extra calories by simply timing your workout right after a small snack or a light meal. This just goes to show you just how cheap sugar is as a fuel, carbohydrates. It's saying if you want to eat before working out, choose a small snack or a light meal. Small. It's constantly talking about snacks. If food is satiating and if it's actually nutritious, you don't have to eat every few hours. You don't even necessarily have to eat for your workout because ideally your body has what it needs to fuel the workout. I mean, can you imagine if thousands of years ago they are like warriors and people who were just carrying around snacks all day? No, they didn't do this. Food was not a thing. People ate primarily meat. And when you get enough protein and when you're eating meat, specifically a lot of beef, your body has everything it needs. And if it needs extra energy, it uses your body fat. You shouldn't have to keep refueling every few hours or before and after a workout. And that should just be an indicator of how cheap sugar is as a fuel. Quickly burns up. What should you eat? Oh, this ought to be good. Stick with real food. Okay, it doesn't need to be complicated. Often combining a carbohydrate source with a protein source is recommended. Some examples include fruit and protein. Examples, apple with a teaspoon of peanut butter, berries, and a few slices of turkey or nuts. Yeah, this is not good advice. I think the reason why the ADA and AHA and a lot of the medical community pushes fruit so much and like whole grain crackers and starch and protein, grain crackers and cheese and half a sandwich, light yogurt, meaning low fat. This is a starvation diet. This is a very nutritionless meal plan. Fruit is just fructose and sugar, peanut butter, and it's most likely you're going to be eating junk peanut butter like Jiffy, which is full of Roundup Ready. Peanuts are one of the foods that are the most inundated with glyphosates, with Roundup Ready, weed killer. And the stuff soaks up in the peanuts shell. And so they just marinate in this stuff. And so, but peanut butter with sugar, that's mixing fat and sugar. That's not good. You do not want to do that. That kicks in the Randle cycle. That leads to issues in the arteries. That leads to type 2 diabetes because there are two pleasure centers in our brain in terms of food, one for sugar, one for fat. These are the two primary sources of energy for us humans. And so our brains are designed to light up when we eat it because it's a source of energy. The brain wants to let us know, hey, you just ate this. This is a form of energy. Eat more. But doesn't mean they're both good for you. Sugar's not good for you. So, but it's a good cheap source, a cheap, good way to get energy quickly. But eating two energy sources is bad news. So apple with a teaspoon of peanut butter, no good. Most peanut butter is not good for you. Berries, neither here nor there. It's not bad per se comparatively, but a few slices of turkey. Turkey is just protein. But protein without fat is not going to be utilized to its full potential. Protein needs fat to be fully absorbed and utilized. That's why everything in all protein in nature is usually paired with fat. The best you can do is eat the skin with the turkey or nuts. Nuts don't agree with most people. Starch and protein, whole grain is garbage. That's not food. A lot of cheese isn't that good either, but it's not, like I said, comparatively, this is one of the least problematic things to eat. Try to eat as close to real cheese as possible. Half a sandwich here, even there, they're having you eat very little. I mean, who's eating half a sandwich? Like a teenage girl? I don't know who is satiated on a carbohydrate diet with half a sandwich. You're going to be hungry again in a couple hours. Again, that's the whole grain bread usually. And light yogurt is dessert because it's low in fat. And whenever you take the fat out of a food, they have to add sugar because, like I said, Things only taste good if it has fat or sugar in it. And it tastes like the 4th of July in your brain if it has fat and sugar, but that's bad for you. So light yogurt is just basically dessert. Or a lighter snack of veggies and hummus, dip, or string cheese may be desired. Real food, keep it simple. You know, this is very contradictory. They say stick with real food, doesn't need to be complicated. Well, whole grain crackers are not real food. It's processed garbage. And sandwich bread is not real food. This light yogurt is not real food. It's been completely adulterated. Like, I don't even, in most cases, a lot of cases, you can't even consider this milk or dairy. It's been completely adulterated and changed. Not real food. But they're using these catchphrases and these buzzwords, real food, because this is on the rise. People are starting to wake up. They're starting to see, why am I feeling so terrible? Why am I gaining weight? Why am I having high blood pressure, having all of these things? Why do I not feel my best? Why am I tired all the time, needing caffeine? So they're trying to use these buzzwords. Well, I call them buzzwords when they use them, but really eating real food, and I mean real food, things that don't come in boxes or bags with barcodes, as Benjamin Bickman would say. It's real things with no ingredients label. All right, let's move on. Don't force yourself to eat a post-workout meal for low-intensity exercise. If you're trying to lose weight and your workouts are lower in intensity, like power walking, jogging, or cycling less than an hour at a time, then you likely do not need an intentional post-workout meal. Instead, strive to eat mostly whole foods every 4 to 5 hours throughout the day to support your calorie needs while also getting daily exercise. So yeah, the calorie thing is not a thing. They want you to eating every 4 to 5 hours because those meals are not satiating. You're going to be hungry most likely in the next 2 to 3 hours, especially if you're a type 2 diabetic on insulin. And when you work out, you're driving your blood sugar down. And if you're also taking your insulin, they want to make sure that you're not, for low intensity, that you don't eat too much after, because low intensity isn't going to burn as much fuel or as much sugar as a high intensity, obviously. So here they're just playing the game of keeping your blood sugar in a safe level while having you eat junk food and take their drugs. This is pretty much it. This is what they're doing. How to still kill yourself and still keep your type 2 diabetes, but just, try to just keep you stringing along long enough to for you to continue being a customer. Because if the ADA truly were about helping people reverse type 2 diabetes or prevent type 2 diabetes, they'd go out of business. So it's not a sustainable business model to actually help people. They want to keep you just on life support, so to speak. In losing weight, there's a constant balancing act of eating enough to fuel your metabolism and manage hunger versus reducing calories carefully to encourage your body to burn more body fat. By planning your meals and exercise routine carefully, you can avoid taking in more calories than your goal and still keep yourself well fueled. Yeah, they're going to always just push this calorie thing. So this is pretty much the whole business model. Eat crap food, fake food. Use this calorie measurement that's not a thing for in the human body, which means basically try to severely undereat and eat junk that has no fat, which is the most important fuel in our body is fat. So eat a low-fat diet. Just keep doing these things so that you constantly need insulin medication for the rest of your shorter life, I should say. Constant balancing act of eating enough to fuel your metabolism and manage hunger. They're telling you in plain sight. Like, we're creating this balancing act of you eating just enough to fuel yourself while also managing your hunger, because you're just hungry all the time because you're not eating real food. You're not getting any fat, or you're not getting enough protein. When you really should eat after your workout. For some types of exercise, it's important to eat a meal or a protein shake within the hour after your workout. Most protein shakes are just sugar And a lot of them don't even contain enough fat to properly absorb the protein, and the protein is just weak sauce compared to animal fat. Types of exercise that might call for an immediate post-workout protein shake or meal include weightlifting, high-intensity interval training or HIIT, endurance training, long-distance running, any intense exercise over 60 minutes, high-intensity competitive sports, soccer, tennis, racquetball, etc. If you don't eat a substantial meal or post-workout protein shake after high-intensity exercise, a few issues are of concern. You're depriving your muscles of the amino acids they need to rebuild and recover. Well, the food, a protein shake, is not going to give your body everything that it needs. It needs more than amino acids. It needs all kinds of things. It needs fat. And like I said, a lot of these protein shakes are low in fat and a lot of them are high in sugar. So you're basically just repeating the process. You're depleting your body by doing this intense workout. And then all you're doing is putting in some weak protein and some sugar to just give you this sense of, the sugar is going to give you that high to make you feel like, oh, I'm replenished. But no, this is all super misleading. You're not replenishing the stored glucose, glycogen in your muscles, which can lead to further muscle breakdown. So a lot of this only applies to if you're a person that just eats carbs all day. If sugar is your only source of energy and you're not eating fat, this is what it's talking about. You'll get hungry a few hours later and likely overeat at that later meal. Yeah, when you do intense exercise, you do build up an appetite. But the appetite is your body wanting nutrition. So if you eat bunch of beef patties or a steak sometime after a workout, you won't be hungry again for hours. But I guarantee you, if you just drink a protein shake, you're going to be hungry again in an hour, 2 hours. If you take insulin, if you take mealtime insulin or other medications that can cause low blood glucose levels, you'll need to plan the timing of your meals and your exercise more carefully. Right, because you don't want your blood sugar to go too low if you're on insulin medication. This is what I was saying in other videos where if you want to try the carnivore diet, make sure you work with your doctor because you do not want to cut out sugar while taking insulin. You'll just drive your blood sugar too low, which is very dangerous. If you've just eaten a meal and taken your full dose of insulin, exercising in the 3 hours after can lead to low blood glucose, hypoglycemia. This is because exercise causes your muscles to use the glucose in your bloodstream faster. This means you'll need less insulin to manage your goal blood glucose levels after a meal. This should tell you everything. It's telling you. Make sure you're eating enough sugar, or if you eat, if you do an intense workout, you got to be careful with your insulin. You don't want to drive your blood sugar too low. And this is because exercise causes your muscles to use glucose. So if the insulin medication is needed to bring down your blood sugar, and it tells you doing a workout does the same thing. So make sure we have to make sure you're not taking too much insulin. You need to lower your insulin if you do a workout. And you need less insulin to manage your goal blood glucose levels. That shows you that sugar is the problem. And this whole article is about how to balance keeping all the sugar in your life in a way that's just not going to have you drop dead, like have you go into a hypoglycemic state, fall into a diabetic coma or something. This is just criminal. It really is. I know some people will watch this and they think, oh, this guy is hardcore or whatever, but this is real stuff. There are doctors who are learning about this and they're doing YouTube videos and they're crying because they see, like, for so many years they've just been killing people. I mean, I give the analogy in another video. If you have a sink that's overflowing with water, and if the insulin medication is like a bucket, and you're just putting buckets under this overflowing water, Eventually, you're going to either run out of buckets. You're going to need more and more buckets, more and more insulin over time. And eventually, you're not going to be able to accommodate all that water with buckets. Eventually, it's just going to keep overflowing and overflowing, when all you have to do is turn off the water. Stop eating sugar. And they know this. They know, because sugar is addictive. I'm going to do a video on this very soon, how sugar is a drug. Processed sugar is a drug, and it's very, very addictive. And they know this. And they know most people are addicted to carbs, and they're not really equipped. First of all, a lot of people aren't even aware that they're addicted to carbohydrates. But they know how difficult it is for people to stop eating carbs. And so this is a way to treat type 2 diabetes, not cure it. But I think if enough people know that they have an addiction to carbohydrates, they're going to approach it in a totally different way. Just knowing you have an addiction is half the battle. A lot of people eat carbs and are like, man, I just can't give up carbs. I tried keto, I tried carnivore, but it's just not realistic, man. That's because they don't understand it's a legitimate addiction. So, timing your meals, insulin needs, and exercise. Reduce the amount of insulin you take for that meal. If you know you're going to exercise immediately after eating, you can talk to your doctor about reducing the mealtime insulin dose. The type of exercise you choose, walking or jogging or lifting weights, the duration, 15 minutes versus 45 minutes, and the intensity can impact just how much less insulin you need with that meal. Depending on the intensity of your workout, like a rigorous weightlifting session, you may find that you need to reduce your insulin dose for the meal you eat in the few hours after exercising. Still, your insulin needs for exercise can depend on other various factors. Consult your healthcare provider to determine how and if you should adjust insulin doses before and after exercise. Yeah, and this is important too. Like I said, if you plan on changing your diet, this is why they say consult your doctor before trying any new diet or exercise. It's especially for people on medication. Exercise before eating and taking mealtime insulin. By exercising before you eat and taking your mealtime insulin, you reduce the risk of low blood glucose. This can hugely simplify your ability to exercise without low blood glucose. This can also help prevent the need to eat extra carbs during exercise to manage low blood glucose. Keep in mind that if you experience a low blood glucose, even without rapid acting mealtime insulin in your system, this is a sign that your other insulin medication doses may be too high. So people are on multiple medications, it looks like. Wow. All of this just to manage an addiction. That's all this is. You're addicted to carbs. It's killing you. And here's how you can keep going in a manageable manner. And just we're going to just try to help you along here just enough so you can live as long as you can with this disease and with this addiction. Most importantly, be sure to check your blood glucose before you exercise and carry fast-acting carbohydrates with you, like glucose tablets, gummy candy, or juice, whenever you're exercising in case you experience low blood glucose. Talk to your doctor about making adjustments in your insulin doses or other medications to prevent lows during and after exercise. Sugar is the cause of type 2 diabetes, sugar in excess. And here it's just this whole article, when you go into it with the understanding that carbohydrates, people with type 2 diabetes have a carbohydrate addiction, and that type 2 diabetes is a case of too much insulin, and here they're giving you insulin, and they're telling you to eat sugar all day. This should be all you need to start making the right decisions. Start working with your doctor to get off the insulin. Start weaning off carbohydrates. Millions of people cure their type 2 diabetes on a carnivore or a healthy keto diet. If you have type 2 diabetes, I would just work towards a hyper carnivore diet as fast as possible while working with your doctor, of course, because we don't want this hypoglycemic issue. One of the ways that that helped me kind of get through my carb addiction is to, keep things out of sight, out of mind. Don't have things lying around the house. Make sure you meal prep. Make sure you don't go into a carnivore diet counting calories. Forget that, because if you do that, you're going to end up under eating in most cases. Like I said, if just knowing that you have an addiction changes everything, changes the game. It equips you to more likely succeed. So I hope this has been beneficial. I hope you now can see the business model of the ADA is to keep you a type 2 diabetic. If they cure or actually help people with diabetes, they go out of business. A very lucrative business. So, inshallah, if you found this beneficial, share with friends and family. Inshallah, we're trying to get the Ummah more healthy, more mindful, understanding real health and nutrition. Be sure to subscribe, like, and again, most importantly, share with family and friends, inshallah. Till next time, may Allah reward you for being curious and keep tying your camel. Assalamu alaikum.